The forest was dark and silent. Only the sound of leaves moving in the cold wind could be heard. The sky above was full of strange stars, some blinking, some still. This was not Earth, this was something else. Something wild. Lena ran. Her boots hit the soft ground again and again as she pushed through the tall alien plants. Her breath was short. Her heart was beating fast. Her face was full of fear. Something was chasing her. She didn't know what it was. She didn't look back. Her arms were scratched. Her clothes were torn. But she kept running. She had no choice. The wild didn't care if you were tired. The wild wanted you gone. Then suddenly it happened. A snap. The ground disappeared under her feet. She fell into a deep hole covered with branches and leaves. Her scream echoed through the trees. The fall was not too long, but it was enough to hurt her leg. She landed hard. Dirt filled her mouth. Her head spun. For a few seconds she didn't move, then pain made her open her eyes. Her hands touched the wall around her. It was a trap, a deep pit. Someone had made it, and they had made it well. "Help!" she shouted, but her voice didn't go far. The forest swallowed the sound like it was never there. She tried to climb, but the walls were smooth and high. She slipped again and again. Her leg was hurt badly. Blood was running down her knee. She sat down, breathing hard, feeling hopeless. Tears came to her eyes, but she wiped them away quickly. "No," she whispered. "I can't die here." She looked up. The sky was above her, so far away, so quiet. One star caught her eye. It was brighter than the others. It was moving slowly, like it had a path of its own. It didn't look like a star. It looked like it was watching her. Lena felt something strange in her heart, like the star was waiting, like it wanted her to say something she didn't believe. In wishes, not since the crash, not since she lost her team. But now, she had nothing left. "If you can hear me," she whispered to the sky, "please, help me, I don't want to die." The star blinked. A second later, she heard it. Crunch, crunch. Footsteps. She froze. They were slow, heavy, coming closer. Her breath stopped. She couldn't see anyone yet, but the steps were real. Something or someone was walking in the forest, and it was coming toward the trap. She pressed her back against the wall of the pit. She wanted to disappear. The air became cold. Her body started shaking, not just from fear, but from the strange feeling that something not human was near. The steps stopped, right next to the hole. Then silence. She looked up slowly. A face appeared. Not a monster. Not an animal. A man. He had pale skin, short black hair, and strange silver eyes that reflected the starlight. He didn't speak. He just looked at her for a long time. Not with anger, not with fear, with curiosity. Like she was a puzzle. "Who are you?" she asked. The man tilted his head. "You're not from here," he said finally, his voice calm. And deep. Double quotes. "No. My ship crashed." "I'm alone," she answered, confused and scared. He nodded once, then threw down a long rope. "Climb, my leg is hurt." He jumped down into the trap like it was nothing. His movements were smooth, fast, too perfect. He gently touched her injured leg, looked at it, then pulled something from his pocket, a small device that made a soft light. He held it close to her wound. The pain started to go away. She looked at him in shock. "How did you know time?" He said, "They're coming." "Who's coming?" He didn't answer. He picked her up like she was light as a feather, tied the rope around her, and pulled her up with himself. They were out of the trap. She looked around, trying to understand. "Wait, why did you help me?" The man looked at the bright star in the sky. "Because you wished for it," he said. Her eyes widened. He looked back at her. "But wishes here come with a price." A loud sound echoed through the forest. Like a deep hum, machine-like, not animal. The man turned to her. "Follow me now." And with that, he ran into the dark forest. Lena didn't know who he was, or what was coming, but she had no choice. She followed. Lena ran after him, her legs still aching, but not as bad as before. The man moved like a shadow, silent and fast, but he never left her behind. He slowed down just enough so she could keep up. Trees around them were tall and strange, glowing slightly under the dark sky. They didn't speak. Only the sounds of the wild filled the air, distant screeches, whispering leaves, and that low hum, still far but getting closer. After many minutes, they stopped. He pointed toward a large rock shaped like a half moon. "We rest here." Lena sat down, trying to catch her breath. Her hands were shaking, not just from the run, but from everything. She looked at the man, this strange person who came out of nowhere. "Who are you?" she asked again. He didn't answer immediately. He pulled something from a small pouch. On his belt, a glowing blue cube. He touched it, and it opened into a floating map. Lines moved on it like rivers made of light. "I'm not from here," he said quietly. Still watching the map. "I guess that," Lena said, her voice dry. "You don't talk like the creatures out there, or the forest. You're different." He finally looked at her. "My name is Echo." "Echo?" she repeated. He nodded. "It's not my real name, but it's what I became." Lena didn't understand. "Are you human?" Echo looked up at the sky. "I was—" Those two words hit her like a cold wind. She stared at him, trying to read his face, but it stayed calm, too calm. No emotion, no fear. No warmth. He stood up. "We don't have much time." "They will search." "They always search when someone makes a wish. What are they?" Lena asked. He looked at her, his eyes glowing softly. "Watchers." That word sounded simple, but when he said it, it felt heavy. "Dangerous. They hear wishes?" she asked. Feeling cold again. "They don't hear sound," Echo said. "They feel thought, strong emotions, hope, fear, pain. They feed on it. They learn from it." Lena shook her head. "But I didn't mean to call them. I was just scared." I looked at the sky. "I didn't know they always watch from." "The sky," Echo said. "Sometimes they look like stars." Lena's eyes widened. "That star," he nodded. "It wasn't a star. It was one of their eyes." She stood up, confused and angry. "Why would they make traps if they're just watching? Why not come and help or kill?" Echo paused, then said, "Because this planet is not for rescue, it's for study." Long silence followed. Lena sat down again. Her hands were in her hair. "So I'm just part of a test? A game?" Echo sat beside her. "Yes, but sometimes the game breaks." "Like me," she looked at him. "You said you were human once." "I was, a long time ago. I was a soldier. Part of a team sent to study this world, but we were wrong. We thought we were in control. We weren't. What happened? They took us, one by one, watched, changed us. Some died. Some turned into watchers. I became Echo." Lena stared at him. "Why did you help me?" Echo didn't answer for a long time. Then softly he said, "Because you reminded me of someone." Lena didn't push further. Something about his voice told her it was a name he couldn't say. A face he couldn't forget. The forest around them made small sounds. The wind moved like it had fingers. But nothing came close. "Where do we go now?" Lena asked. "There's a shelter," Echo said. "Old, hidden, they don't know about it yet. We go there, rest, plan." Lena nodded, even though she was still scared, but being near Echo made her feel safer. Even if he was half machine or something else, he had saved her. That meant something. They walked again. Slower this time. As they moved, Lena saw things she hadn't noticed before, plants that turned toward them, not the light. Rocks that pulsed like hearts. And high above, the fake star still blinked. She whispered, "Do they know where I am?" "Now?" "Yes," Echo said. "Then why don't they come?" "They will. But first they want to watch what you do next." They reached a wall of dark trees, and Echo pressed his hand against a thick trunk. It opened like a door. Inside, there was a small room, warm and dry. It had old lights, broken tech, and a soft mat on the floor. Lena looked around. "You built this?" "No," he said. "Someone else did. Before me, I just keep it alive." She lay down slowly, her body finally giving up. Her eyes heavy. Before sleep came, she asked one last question. "Why do they care about wishes?" Echo stood at the door, watching the sky. "Because," he said, "wishes are power, and power changes the story." And then silence. Lena woke to silence. No wind, no footsteps. No strange sounds from the forest, just silence. It was almost too quiet. She sat up slowly inside the small shelter Echo had brought her to. The place looked old, almost forgotten walls made of smooth black stone, lights blinking softly in the corners, and a thin layer of dust over everything. But it was warm, safe. It didn't feel like the outside world. Echo wasn't inside. She stood, limping slightly, and walked toward the door. When she stepped out, the world was different. The forest had changed. The trees now glowed with soft, blue light. The plants moved gently, though there was no wind. The ground was no longer hard dirt, but soft, almost sponge-like. It felt like the planet had a pulse, like it was breathing. Echo was standing a few feet away, looking at the sky. She walked to him. Echo? He turned, his silver eyes reflecting the glowing trees. You slept long. How long? Almost a full cycle. A day? On this planet, he said. A day is different. Time here follows emotion. She frowned. That doesn't make sense. He looked at her calmly. Nothing here works the way it should. Not time, not space. Even thoughts are watched. Lena shook her head. How is that possible? Echo looked out at the trees. This planet is not just alive, it's aware. Lena blinked. You mean it's thinking? Yes, Echo said. Not like us, not with words. But it knows. It learns, it remembers everything. She felt a chill run through her. Then why does it trap people here? Echo turned to her. Because it's testing them, watching what they do, what they feel, what they become. Lena crossed her arms. And what if someone just wants to leave? Echo gave a small smile. No one leaves unless the planet lets them. Lena's mouth went dry. They started walking deeper into the forest. As they moved, the trees opened up, almost like they were making a path. Strange animals watched them from the shadows, silent, with glowing eyes, but didn't come close. Where? Are we going? Lena asked. There's something I need to show you, Echo replied. Something under the ground, something old. They walked for some time until they reached a clearing. In the center was a wide circle of smooth, black stone. It looked like metal, but older, worn. Echo stepped onto it and knelt down. He placed his hand flat on the surface. The ground began to shift, slowly. The stone slid open, revealing a staircase going down dark and cold. Lena hesitated. What is this place? Echo answered without emotion. A memory. They walked down together. The tunnel was cold. The walls were smooth, glowing faintly with blue lines like veins. It reminded Lena of a machine, but it also felt alive. After a few minutes, they entered a large chamber. In the center was a giant crystal, floating in the air, pulsing slowly like a heart. Around it were broken chairs, empty machines, and screens full of static. Lena stared in awe. What is this? Echo walked to the crystal. This is the first signal. The what? He pointed at it. This is what the planet uses to talk to the Watchers. To send them emotions, wishes, pain, fear. It turns those into data. Lena stepped back. You mean this is what I wished on? No, Echo said. You wished on one of its satellites. But the signal came from here. This is where it all begins. Lena walked closer to the floating crystal. It was beautiful, clear, yet full of swirling light inside. When she touched it, images flashed in her mind. A boy crying for his mother. A soldier begging for home. A girl wishing to be free. A man becoming something else. She gasped and pulled her hand back. Echo's voice was calm. It shows you memories of others. Their wishes, their failures. Lena looked at him. Why show me this? Echo turned to her. Because you're different. You wished, but not for escape. You wished to survive. Lena didn't know what to say. Echo walked to one of the broken screens. There were others before you. Some fought. Some gave up. But the planet wants to see what people do when they are desperate. Lena sat down, feeling the weight of it. Oh, so I'm part of a game, Echo nodded. But this time, the game may change. She looked at him. Why? He turned to her, eyes serious. Because I'm going to help you break it. Lena's heart jumped. Break the planet? No, he said. Break the system, the watchers, the rules. How? Echo placed his hand on the crystal, by showing them something new. The crystal pulsed. And suddenly every screen in the room lit up with her face. Lena stared at the screens. Her face was on every one of them, blinking, breathing, confused. Some screens showed her now, inside the chamber. Others showed her running, falling into the trap, making the wish. She stepped back. What is this? Echo's voice was steady. They're watching. From where? Above, below, inside. The watchers are not in just one place. They are part of everything now? Lena looked around the glowing chamber, her chest tight. Why would they care about me? Echo looked at the floating crystal. Because you did something different. You wished. Without hope? She frowned. That doesn't make sense. You didn't wish for rescue. You didn't cry for someone else to save you. You wished to live. That's what woke them. Lena felt cold. So now they're just staring at me? Echo nodded. Yes, but that's not all they do. They copy, they learn. And sometimes they test. As he said that, the screens blinked again. Her image vanished. Now there was only a single word on every screen. Ready? Echo's eyes narrowed. It's starting. What's starting? But before Echo could speak, the ground shook. The walls of the chamber shifted. Part of the stone slid back, revealing a tunnel. A soft humming sound came from within, low, deep, mechanical. Lena felt her heart speed up. Is that them? No, Echo said, stepping in front of her. It's the first trial. She took a step back. Trial? He looked at her. The planet wants to see what you'll do next. It creates situations, illusions, traps. If you break, they win. If you change, they adapt. The lights in the chamber dimmed. The crystal flickered. Do I have a choice? Lena asked quietly. You always have a choice, Echo said. But choice comes with cost. Lena took a deep breath. Then she stepped toward the tunnel. Let's see what they want. Echo followed her without a word. The tunnel led them downward. The walls were no longer smooth. They became rough, covered in symbols and strange marks. Some of them looked like human writing, others like claw scratches. Some glowed. Some bled. As they walked, Lena noticed something. There were no shadows. No matter where they stepped, light came from nowhere and everywhere. Finally, they entered a round room. The air was thick, almost heavy. In the center stood a tall figure, still, dark, faceless. Lena froze. Is that a watcher? Echo didn't answer. The figure didn't move. It looked like a statue made of black glass. But then it spoke, without a mouth, without a voice. The words appeared in Lena's mind. We saw your wish. Lena stepped forward, and we offer you survival. But first, a mirror. The room shifted. From the shadows, another figure stepped forward. Lena gasped. It was her, but not just a copy. It was her, but colder, stronger, sharper. The eyes were full of logic, not fear. It walked like it knew everything. What is this? Lena asked. A reflection of what you could be. The other Lena looked at her with no emotion. Echo whispered. They want you to fight yourself, to see what side wins. Lena shook her head. I'm not a fighter, the voice came again. You must choose, fear or power. Suddenly, the cold version of her attacked. Lena ducked, barely avoiding the hit. She rolled across the ground, heart racing. Her copy moved fast, too fast. It struck again, throwing her back against the wall. You're weak, the copy said in a flat, robotic voice. You cry. You hope. You fall. Lena stood, wiping blood from her lip. I care. That's not weakness. The copy tilted its head. Then show me. They clashed again, but Lena didn't fight with fists. She fought with memory. She remembered the crash, her team, her pain, her choice to keep moving, to wish on a star even when there was no reason left. That was strength. Her copy paused. Lena stepped forward. I may be afraid, but I still move forward. You can't control me, the cold version cracked literally. A line split down its face like glass breaking. Then it shattered into pieces. The room went silent. The dark figure nodded, trial complete. The floor beneath them began to glow. A platform rose from the ground. On it sat a small silver cube. Echo picked it up and handed it to Lena. Data key. It holds part of the Watcher's core. Maybe even a way to control the signal. She looked at it, her hand shaking. Why give it to me? Echo looked at her seriously. Because now they're not just watching. Now they're afraid. The cube felt cold in Lena's hands, not metal, not stone. Something else. She turned it slowly, its surface smooth and silver, yet strange symbols shifted across it like liquid. The room around her was silent again. The black figure had vanished. The trial chamber now still like nothing had ever happened. Echo stood beside her, watching with unreadable eyes. What do I do with it? She asked. Echo didn't answer right away. He looked at the cube, then at her. It's not a weapon. He said, it's a doorway. To what? He gave a small pause. To the next test. Lena frowned. I thought I just passed one. You did, Echo said. But that was only the beginning. The Watchers are never satisfied with one answer. They want more. They always want more. He stepped forward and gently pressed a finger to the cube. It flashed once. Suddenly, the ground vanished beneath them. Lena didn't fall. She floated. Everything turned black. And then light returned. But it wasn't the forest anymore. It was her bedroom. Earth. Her real home. She stood in the middle of it. Shocked. The bed was there, the books, the cracked window she always meant to fix, the smell of her favorite tea, the photo of her and her younger brother on the wall, her eyes filled with tears. This isn't real. She turned to Echo, who stood beside her, untouched by the change. It's a simulation, he said softly, created from your memories. They are testing your past now. Lena walked forward slowly, touching the bookshelf. The feel of wood, dust, even the small scratch from when she dropped a mug exactly where she remembered it. Why are they doing this? She asked. To see if you still want to leave, Echo replied. Or if you'd rather stay. But this isn't real, she whispered. Echo looked at her. What if it could be? Before she could answer, the door opened. A boy stepped in, her brother, smiling, alive. He ran to her. Lena, you're back early. Lena dropped to her knees, arms open. She held him, crying. He felt real, warm, breathing, but he wasn't. She looked at Echo again. They made this from my memories? Yes. But how do I know that? What if this is real? Echo walked to the window. That's the test. She stayed on the floor, holding the boy's hand. He talked about school, games, their old dog, things she remembered, and things she didn't. That's when she realized. The details were wrong. He mentioned a game that hadn't existed when he was alive. He talked about events that never happened. She stared at him. Slowly, her smile faded. You're not my brother? She whispered. The boy stopped talking. His face shifted slightly. Too smooth, too perfect. And then, blank. Like a doll. She stood up fast, stepping back. The room began to melt. Walls twisted. Furniture stretched. The sky outside turned black and red. The illusion was breaking. Echo grabbed her arm. You passed. You saw through it. The Watchers spoke again, not in sound, but inside her head. You refused comfort. You chose truth. Final test. Begins. Before she could ask what that meant, her body collapsed. Darkness again. But this time, Lena opened her eyes. To something worse than illusion. She was back in the forest, but now it was broken. Burned trees. Dead soil. The air smelled like ash and metal. And Echo was gone. She called out, but no answer came. She stood alone, and then she saw someone ahead. It was Echo, but not him. This version was twisted. His face cracked like glass, his eyes glowing red. His voice echoed strangely. You left me, he said. What? You passed your test, the twisted Echo said. Now face mine. He ran at her. She dodged. Barely. The forest shifted. Again trees became claws. The ground opened into mouths. Everything was trying to pull her down. Lena ran, breathing hard. This is another trick. The Watchers responded in her mind. No more tricks. This is your final self. Will you run or stand? Lena stopped. She turned around. The broken echo came toward her fast, ready to strike. She didn't move. Instead, she closed her eyes. "I'm not afraid," she said. The forest screamed. The broken echo raised his hand and disappeared. Silence returned. The world brightened, and Echo, the real one, stood beside her once more. "You passed," he said. Lena looked at him, exhausted. "What was that?" Echo held up the cube. It changed. The cube was no longer silver. Now it was white. Glowing. Double quotes. "Three trials," he said. "Three truths. They know you now." She stared into the light. "What happens next?" Echo looked at the sky. "They offer you a deal?" Asterisk. The white cube pulsed in Lena's hand like a heartbeat. Each pulse was slow, steady, almost calm. But Lena wasn't calm. Her clothes were torn. Her face was dirty. Her body ached from the trials. But her mind was sharp now, more focused than ever. She had faced the Watchers. She had seen herself, her fears, her past, her pain. And she was still standing. Echo looked up at the sky. It had changed again. The stars had shifted. Now, a shape moved across the clouds, round, dark, silent, a ship. Lena narrowed her eyes. "What is that?" Echo's voice was quiet. "It's not theirs." "Then whose is it?" He didn't answer. The ship came closer. It floated above the trees, smooth and black, without lights or sound. Then slowly, it descended into a clearing ahead. A ramp opened. A voice came, but not from the sky, not in her ears. It came from inside her own thoughts. "You have passed. You are strong. You are ready." Lena took a step back. "You may now leave this world," the voice said. "Step forward, enter, become more." Echo's jaw tightened. "Don't listen too fast." Lena turned to him. "I thought this is what we wanted, a way out." Echo shook his head. "That is not a rescue ship. That is a tool." "A tool?" "For control," he said. The Watchers changed their shape, their voice, their offer. Always the same goal. They don't kill, they convert. Lena stared at the open ramp. A soft blue glow came from inside. The air around it felt warm, safe, even peaceful. Too peaceful. "They want me to join them," she said. "Yes." "As what?" Echo looked down. "As one of them, a Watcher?" Her heart dropped. "They want to turn me into you," he nodded. "They tried with me and they almost won." Lena looked at the white cube in her hand. "And this? That's your key. It means you've been chosen. You're no longer just watched. Now you are invited." The forest around them was still, waiting. The ship made no sound, but the pressure it gave off was heavy. It was not threatening. It didn't need to be. It simply offered ... everything. "Why now?" Lena asked. "Because you've proven you can survive. You made choices. You didn't break. That's what they want. Not power. Not strength. Decision." Lena remembered the trials. The mirror, the dream, the broken echo she had passed through. Each one, barely. "What happens if I go in?" she asked. "They give you clarity," Echo said. "No more pain, no more fear. You'll feel peace, and you'll forget." Lena stepped back. "Forget? Yes, you'll lose who you were. But you'll gain what they are." She stared at the ship. It was beautiful, in a quiet, cold way, like a dream without sound. Like sleep that never ends, but something inside. Her stirred deep, stubborn, alive. "I don't want to forget," she said. Echo looked at her, the faintest smile on his face. "Then you already know the answer." The voice returned louder now, firm. "You have 10 seconds. Enter or be erased." Lena's blood ran cold. "Erased?" "They only offer once," Echo said. "If you refuse, they close the path. Forever." The sky darkened slightly. 5 seconds. Lena looked at Echo. "What did you choose when they offered you?" "I went in," he said. "I thought I could keep myself. I was wrong." Lena stared at the ship. 3. She took a step forward. Echo's eyes widened. "Lena," but she didn't walk toward the ship. She lifted the cube and threw it hard into the ground. The white cube hit the dirt and shattered into a burst of light. The ship screamed, not with sound, but with force. The forest shook, the trees bent. The sky turned red. Echo covered her. The light faded when Lena opened her eyes. The ship was gone. The clearing was empty. The cube was nothing but dust. Echo stood slowly. You did something they didn't expect. Lena nodded, breathing hard. I chose freedom. He looked at her with something like pride. Then you've broken the pattern. No one ever says no. Lena smiled weakly. Maybe they should. Echo turned, pointing at the trees. Come, there's one place left to go, the signal core. We destroy it and this ends. Lena looked. Back one last time at the empty sky. No more watchers, she whispered. Then she followed Echo into the forest, no longer running, no longer afraid. The sky above was empty now. No ships, no blinking stars, no watchers, only dark clouds moving slowly across a quiet sky. Lena walked beside Echo through a path that didn't exist before. The forest around them no longer whispered, no longer shifted. It had become still, as if holding its breath. They were heading to the place Echo called the signal core, the heart of the planet's strange power. The system that watched, judged, and twisted minds. As they walked, Lena asked, Will destroying it really end everything? Yes, Echo replied. No more trials, no more games. The Watchers need the core to listen, to control. Without it, the planet sleeps again. And what happens to you? She asked quietly. Echo didn't answer. They reached a valley surrounded by black stone walls. In the center was a tower not tall, but wide, built of silver metal that pulsed like it was alive. It looked like it had grown from the ground, not built. The door opened for them without a sound. Inside, it was silent, cold. White lights flowed across the floor like rivers of light. At the center stood a glowing sphere, floating in the air like a star captured in a cage. Lena stared at it. That's the signal? Yes, Echo said. That's what listens to every wish. Every fear, every choice? Lena stepped forward. The sphere pulsed. She felt something move through her body, not pain, but memory. Her crash, the trap, the wish. The man with silver eyes, the cold copy of herself, her brother's voice. The ship. All of it flashed through her mind like a wave. She held her head. It's showing me everything again. It's asking, Echo said. One last time. Do you want to forget? Lena opened her eyes. No. She reached out. The sphere didn't resist. It moved toward her slowly, like it was waiting for permission. Echo stepped back. Be careful. Lena took a breath. Then placed her hand on it. The light poured into her. She saw them all, the others. Before her, men, women, children, soldiers, survivors, each one tested, some broken, some changed. All watched. And she saw something else, a back door. A code, hidden deep in the signal, placed there by someone long ago. She whispered, This is how we shut it down. But there was a cost. The signal needed a mind to lock itself, someone to stay with it, become its anchor, so it couldn't restart. It needed a final choice. Echo stepped forward. I'll do it. Lena turned. No, he gave a faint smile. I was born from this system. I should be the one to finish it. You said you were once human. I was, he said. But not anymore. I've seen too much, felt too little. I'm already a ghost. Lena shook her head. You saved me. Echo looked at her for a long moment. So let me save the rest. She wanted to argue, but something in his eyes told her this was always his path. He stepped into the sphere. It welcomed him. The lights turned gold. Echo looked back one last time. Thank you for wishing, he said softly, and then he was gone. The sphere dimmed, the signal cracked, the tower walls began to shake. The rivers of light on the floor vanished. Lena ran. As she stepped outside, the tower behind her collapsed silently, folding in on itself like a dying star. The ground didn't break. The sky didn't fall. Everything became still, truly still. She stood in the valley, breathing hard, feeling the weight of everything lost. Hope, freedom. Then, a sound. Soft. Wings. A real ship broke through the clouds. Not dark, not silent, not fake. It had markings she recognized. Earth fleet. It landed slowly. Its lights were warm, real. A ramp opened. A figure in a rescue suit ran out, waving. Survivor identified, the voice called. We found her. Lena didn't move at first. She looked up at the sky, clear, open, and whispered, I made a wish, and it came true. She walked toward the ship. As she climbed the ramp, she looked back once more at the forest. It looked peaceful now. Almost asleep. and far above, the sky held only stars quiet, watching no more.